bane of all businesses that fall under the SCHADS award is trying to figure out the different types of shifts. It's your job to ensure that you're meeting payroll compliance for the different kinds of shifts that are worked. Otherwise, you run the risk of having fair work on your door. The SCHADS award, or modern awards in general, aren't exactly the most exciting or easiest thing to read. As a busy business owner trying to figure out how to stay compliant, it makes things pretty tough. So that's why we've decided to create a video today to cover all types of shifts under the SCHADS award and what you need to know to make sure you stay compliant. But before we start, I want to stress the importance of payroll compliance. This video is intended for general guidance. You should always consult with a qualified payroll professional or accountant who can provide you with the tailored advice for your circumstances. Okay, so first up we have broken shifts. A broken shift is a shift that splits into two parts. So if your employee works 8 AM to 12 PM and then comes back on the same day and works from 4 PM to 8 PM, that's a broken shift. Broken shifts in the SCHADS award only apply to social and community services employees working in the disability services and home care sectors. The total of broken shifts shouldn't end up being more than 12 hours. If it does end up being more than 12 hours, then you pay double the standard rate. If an employee works broken shifts in consecutive days, so for example on Monday and Tuesday, they must have a minimum of 10 hours rest break between the end of one of those shifts and the start of the next. Next we have sleepovers. A sleepover is when your employee has to provide home care services overnight at the client's home. It's not necessarily considered to be a 24-hour care shift, so the compliance rules are a little bit different. You'll need to give your employee a separate room with a bed and the necessary facilities like a bathroom and a kitchen or kitchenette if the shift ends up being 8 consecutive hours. They also must get paid a sleepover allowance of 4.9% of the standard rate for each night they sleep over at a client's home. If they are required to perform any specific duties while staying the night, they must be paid a minimum overtime rate of 1 hour. And if they have to work immediately before or after the sleepover, in other words, they get no break, then you should pay them for a minimum of 4 hours of work, even if they don't work the entire 4 hours. I know the sleepover shift is the most difficult shift to track. If you want to learn about a way to do this easily and automatically, that's also accurate, we'd love to show you a tool all of our clients are using. Get in touch with us if this is the case. Okay, moving on. 24-hour care shifts. So a 24-hour care shift is when an employee must be available in a client's home to provide their prescribed home care services for 24 hours. But the employee must be allowed to sleep and shouldn't be required to work more than 8 hours in those 24 hours. For these types of shifts, you need to pay your employee 155% of the appropriate rate for every 24 hours. Next on the list of shifts is the excursions. If your employee agrees to take the client on an excursion that involves staying away from home, you must stick to the next couple of rules to meet all of your compliance requirements. If the excursion takes place on a weekday, so Monday to Friday, they must get paid for the time worked between 8 AM to 6 PM. They shouldn't work more than 10 hours per day, and they must be paid a sleepover allowance of 4.9% of their standard rate. The same applies to Saturday and Sunday excursions, but you'll need to make sure that your employee doesn't work for more than 10 days within the 2-week cycle. For weekend work, you need to know that you'll have to pay your staff a penalty rate. On Saturdays, you'll need to pay your staff 150% of the minimum pay rate, and on Sunday, a penalty rate of 200% of the minimum pay rate. For casual employees, you'll need to add their casual loading in addition to these penalty rates. Casual loading is paid to casual employees to make up for the fact that they don't have the same entitlements as permanent employees, things like paid leave. So there you go, a breakdown of the types of shifts and everything you need to know about making sure you're compliant under the SCHADS award. If you have any questions about the SCHADS award, or you're interested in putting your payroll process on autopilot to save you time and money, get in touch with us at PayCat for a free assessment. I'll see you next time.